What's good, everybody? Welcome into Early Edge Live as we count down to the first game of week number 9 in the National Football League. It is Thursday Night Football. It is the Eagles traveling down to Houston to take on the Texans. The spread is 14. The total has been kind of moving around different places, but as of just a couple of minutes ago, it's around 45 and a half, depending on where you get it. Now, the World Series game number 5, if you watch our shows earlier today, morning show, Early Edge and 5, we have plays for game number 5. It's the same two cities, just flip it, and they're playing game 5 in Philadelphia. All right, let's not waste any time. Let's bring in the stars of the show because we got a lot to get to. Sides, props, the gem. We've got a Goose tonight as well, and look who I have, all looking fresh and ready to go. First and foremost, live from parts unknown. Prop stars, good evening, sir.
Coach, what's good? Cousin Sia, AB, good to see you guys as well. What a night to be a Philadelphia fan. We've got the World Series. We've got the Eagles playing. Flyers have a winning record, and hopefully the Sixers can get their act together.
If only we had a Philly fan on the show, then it would probably matter. Next, he is the most handsome man in all of the Early Edge universe. He is Sia Najat. Sia, good evening.
Second most handsome man on the Early Edge universe. As I see Alan Bell with his button up, he is looking dashing. Speaking of dashing, the Eagles are going to be dashing into the end zone, not once, not twice, probably 3 or 4 times. I'm looking forward to this game.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. Sometimes you look at a game, you go, 14, but as Alex likes to say, it's not an opportunity. It's a
opportunity.
You're damn right it is. Now, finally, with the button up, I'm trying to figure out exactly who he's trying to impress tonight. AB, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Coach. Good evening. Sia, props, everybody in the Early Edge crew. It is a fantastic night and good to see you all. And look, I want to say this. I know that we all make picks on the show, right? Absolutely. However, Sia was correct. You see here, we are honoring Sia because the best bet tonight is that Sia is getting in the club, and I'm honoring him early with said bet.
Oh, very nice. I love it when one crew member pays respects to another crew member. By the way, Buckets is in the chat. Turtleneck Tuesday will not happen for me next Tuesday. Maybe at another time.
I also realize real quick that Sia is correct and smart that you don't do it in light blue because it looks like I'm in prison. So there we go.
It kind of does. Sia's blue is much better than your blue. But That's okay. It was worth the effort. All
Completely.
Right. We got a lot to get to. Let's do our best bets first, then we'll get to our props. If you have a prop in the game tonight that you like, go ahead and throw it into the chat for me. Also, put the juice because it helps my guys really get a handle on it. It absolutely matters. And the last thing, I need you to pound that like button for me. If you're going to get Alex's Goose, then you got to earn it. I need 500 likes, and we will give it out around the top of the hour here on the Early Edge. So, Sia, since AB is channeling his inner Sia Najad, I would love for you to start. I know you have 2 best bets at least in this game tonight. Start us off.
Yeah, well, let's start with the global one, which is going to be the Eagles minus 13.5. You know, listen, I don't like to give up points like this, and I don't like to potentially be on the sucker side of the bet, taking a huge favorite. And if anybody's been following my picks, particularly the ones against the spread, I mean, even Monday Night Football, you saw I was on the Browns plus 3.5, and I was pretty strident with my opinion there. So I'm not the guy that takes this line, but I just think the Houston Texans are deficient in so many ways, and the Eagles are not only just picking up steam, but they're picking up players too. I think this offense, I don't think it's going to be a second quarter offense every game. I think they are going to put their foot on the gas for 3 or at least 3 or 4 quarters in this game, and they're just too good. Offensive line, defensive line, and then of course you have the Texans who have lost some players. You know, Nico Collins is not playing, Brandon Cooks is not playing. You're relying on basically Dameon Pierce and guys like Chris Moore and Philip Dorsett, who against the Tennessee Titans secondary and defense, they couldn't seem to muster up any sort of passing game whatsoever. So with all of that in mind, yes, I know the Eagles are away. I understand that it's a huge spread, but I think this Eagles team is too good. It's one of the best teams in the league, certainly a top 2 team in the NFC. And I don't think the number's high enough, to be honest with you. At 14.5, I don't take it. But at 13.5, I'll go ahead and take it.
And even if you have it at 14, I would encourage you. We don't do it all the time. I would encourage you to buy that half a point. It is so worth the price. Now, you also have one prop. Is that right, Sia?
I do, yeah. And it's Devontae Smith. So I don't know that this is really a bet that would go in tandem with the Eagles blowing out the Houston Texans, because I think the conventional wisdom is that the Eagles are going to run the ball a lot. Why wouldn't you when you're going against a defense that allows 5.7 yards per carry? It's pretty bad. So Miles Sanders, I'm sure he's in for a good day. Maybe even Boston Scott can again get loose on a carry or two. But ultimately, I do think Devontae Smith is going to make a bit of a comeback. If you're the Houston Texans and you are trying to defend the Philadelphia Eagles, well, first of all, good luck. Second of all, what you're going to do is you're going to try to take out the running game, because you know that is going to be a target for the offense. And you're also probably going to take out A.J. Brown, who had quite the performance last week with 3 touchdowns, made it look easy on a lot of hard catches. I really think the defense and the coverage is going to be shaded over to A.J. Brown's way. Does that mean that A.J. Brown's not going to have a great game? No. But what it does mean, in my opinion, is that Devontae Smith is going to get loose against this defense. Maybe once, maybe twice. His catch prop is 4.5. Now, that's shaded to the under, but if he gets 4 catches, I expect him to breach this 50.5 receiving yard number. So give me the over on Devontae Smith, over 50.5 receiving yards.
All we need is 2 of those crossing patterns as A.J. Brown is going deep, wide open for about 22, 23 yards. All right, so those are 2 good ways to start. By the way, the Maestro is on the Eagles also. He gave it out at 13. He's also on the Eagles in the first half, -7, -125. Then Jalen Hurts, an anytime touchdown, -114. This guy just finds the end zone with his legs and in the air. So, Alex, I'm going to come to you. And I'm going to lead to you with this. I know you have a play, but I also want you to comment on Zach Attack's play from this morning. Brevin Jordan over 19.5 receiving yards, -115. A lot of people may not know who this guy is.
Yeah, I don't mind Zach's play there. I do think, obviously, that's going to be a negative game script for the Texans, where they're going to have to be forced to air the ball out just to be competitive in this game. Brevin Jordan, at this point, with no Brandon Cooks and no Nico Collins, is probably Davis Mills' most trusted player. So I do anticipate him having probably the best connection with Davis Mills. Davis Mills probably going to have to be forced to throw the ball 30-plus times in this game. So 20 yards certainly obtainable for Brevin Jordan, and he's shown some nice chemistry with Davis Mills this season, so I do think that's a solid spot from Zach. My play, however, is on the Eagles side of the ball. Miles Sanders, anytime touchdown. You can get this at -110 on MGM odds. I have just scoured over every single prop in this game. This is my favorite way to attack it. I'll explain why. Just looking at this game, we just have such a lopsided matchup, I think most people would suggest, in this game, between, especially in particular, the Eagles rushing game versus this Texans run defense that is so porous. This Texans defense is 32nd in rushing DVOA. They have just been historically bad, Coach. They've allowed 1,100 yards to opposing running backs through 7 games this season. That's 160 rushing yards per game just to opposing running backs in the NFL. To give you an idea of how poor that is, how bad that is, the next team that's allowed the most yards has given up 957 yards, and that's been in 8 games, and that's 120 yards a game. This Texans defense is 40 yards worse on the ground than any other team in football. So obviously the idea, Miles Sanders would be the answer there. But my concern with Miles Sanders, and the reason I'm attacking his anytime touchdown prop, is I could totally foresee a scenario where the Eagles get up big 23-3 in the first half. And then, much like last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, we saw Boston Scott get 8 carries in the fourth quarter, and Miles Sanders didn't have a single rushing attempt. What I do feel confident is Miles Sanders getting into the end zone tonight, which is why I like this at close to even odds. He scored 4 touchdowns in the last 5 games. His rushing attempts line is 16.5. So obviously the books are suggesting or predicting that he's going to be heavily involved and get a big workload. I'm just concerned that the game is going to be out of reach in the second half. Otherwise, I'd be all over his props. That being said, I think he's got a great shot to get into the end zone against arguably one of the worst rushing defenses we've seen in NFL history. Not just this year, Coach. They've given up 10 touchdowns on the ground already this year. Derrick Henry 3 last week. Love Miles Sanders' chance to get into the end zone tonight. I like all of his props, but again, I'm just erring on the side of caution because I believe this game can very easily get out of hand. It's a short week, and I know the Eagles will likely look to Kenneth Gainwell, look to Boston Scott, which I'm going to talk about later when we go over props in that event.
By the way, The number for the first touchdown for Miles Sanders would be plus 525. So maybe something you want to go with, because that's a difference, but he has to score the first touchdown of the game in order for that to cash. Love all of that information. We'll get back to Alex in a second. Love that you guys are putting it all into the chat. I'm writing them down. We'll get to all of them in a second, but AB has been waiting so patiently tonight. What do you like in the game here, AB?
Hey, you know what? I love being a patient young man. That's what we like to do here on this show. We like to respect the rules here. All right, we're got 2 plays. First, we're going to go Eagles team total over 14.5 in the first half. You look at what the Eagles have done. It's no secret. They've covered the spread in the first half in every single game this year. In the second quarter alone, they have a plus 96 point differential this year. Look, man, they're going to have all the opportunities in the world, and I kind of think that it works in the game script to where you want to score early, often take them out of the game, and quite frankly, take yourselves out of the game and just end it, run the ball, and end it in the second half. So we're going to roll with that one. Second, we're going to go total punts over 7.5 in this game. Understand, in the Texans-Titans game, there were 14 punts in that game. Houston had 8 of them alone. They can cover this number by themselves in almost any game script. If it's weirdly tight and low scoring, you're going to see punts from both teams. If it's out of hand, Philly's just going to play in the second half, run the ball, punt the ball, make you go 80 yards. They'll do it over and over and over, and that works for us well here. So we're going to take that. And anybody that's looking at rushing yards against the Texans, let me give you a quick stat here. Derrick Henry, in his NFL career, has ran for over 200 yards 6 times. 6. 4 of those are against the Houston Texans, and it's 4 in a row. So just letting you know that. And the Titans threw 1 pass last week in the second half against the Texans. This defense is not good.
Eric says, I love the pump prop, AB. This is why you are the best. That's what he
Eric,
said.
that check is in the mail, sir.
All right, we've got about 15 minutes, top of the hour. We got a bunch of props we have to get to, but what are we looking like on the like situation? Where are we at? How good are the people doing at home?
Oh, Snake's going to have to come in the broadcast to give this number.
Oh, Snake, show your face. Gonna see the Snake for the first time.
I would love to be able to have that number for everyone, but I don't know where to pull it from. So,
hey, I tell you what, you're going to get some inside baseball here. We're going to do live trade. No, I'm kidding. We are going to get to the number, though. We were at 290, okay? 290 likes. We need 10. Jake, count for me there. You're better at that than me.
That's 210. Yeah, that's the difference. That's the difference.
And how many people are watching right now? How many people are watching?
855.
Oh, come on, guys. Everybody hit that like button. Take the chat down, hit the like button, put it back up. So top of the hour, Alex, all that hard work that he put in today, don't make it for nothing. Don't make it so we're the only ones that get to play the Goose.
Hey, and I'll give the secret out here too. Snake, What you want to do is you want to pull up an additional browser, all right, a tab, and just pull it up right on YouTube live like you're watching the show. Hit pause, but on the bottom you can see the live ticker of the likes right there. It's 359 and continuing. So, yeah, a little inside production there.
Yeah. AB, you just confused everybody.
Yes.
All
literally
right, have a good night.
Everybody.
I'm going back to prison.
Like what? Another browser? What's that? All right. See, I'm coming to you. We're starting with Jalen Hurts because we're playing him anytime touchdown because he uses his legs a lot. So over 1.5 touchdown passes tonight, minus 111. Your thoughts?
Interesting. I think that's going to be appealing to people, and I kind of like it. But again, I think Alex is right. When you focus on Miles Sanders, because the path really is through the run, and especially if they're able to grab a big lead early, and for the record, that could be via the defense as well. Then you do take the air out of the ball a little bit. I know a lot of people that think this game is going to be more competitive than that 13.5 or 14 point spread is indicating. I'm not one of those people, but if it is, certainly Jalen Hurts comes or has a really good chance to come in over that total of 1.5. So I think my answer would be, if you think this game is going to be competitive, if you think Houston can move the ball, I think even though the path is through the run, I think the pass will be incorporated a little bit more in the third and fourth quarter, and therefore Jalen Hurts can get there pretty easily. My lean would be the over there. I think that's against the conventional wisdom for this particular game, but my lean would be the over on those touchdown passes.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I think they're a team that, despite the fact we think they'll slow it down in the second half, they love to show out in the first half. They really, really do. They can score 30 in the first half and not even blink an eye. They really can. All right, Alex, let me come to you, because if the game script is going to go as we're discussing, then sometimes you can have 40, 45 yards in the first half, and they can shut you down in the second half. And, of course, I'm talking about A.J. Brown. So, chat question, interesting way to attack this. His longest catch prop is currently at 24.5, 25.5, some places, juiced to the over. Would you like that for A.J. Brown?
Yeah, I prefer his longest reception compared to his raw yardage, just because I don't feel like the passing volume is going to be there this week. When we look at last week against the Steelers, the reason we were on A.J. Brown is because I felt very strongly, and this ended up coming to fruition, that the Eagles would look to attack the Steelers defense down the field through big plays, likely as a byproduct of this Steelers defense being unable to get any pressure on the quarterback and also being very susceptible to big plays. This Texans defense, however, when we look at how we're going to best attack them, this Eagles offense has so much versatility, and they're able to run the ball as well as any team in the NFL when the matchup presents itself. To me, this is a no-brainer game plan for them to run the ball a lot. So I'm just not anticipating the same volume from Jalen Hurts. I don't think we're going to see A.J. Brown get double-digit carries. It would have to be a competitive game script, and with a 14-point spread, it's just unlikely, in my opinion, when we look at the potential range of outcomes. So I do think he's going to get a couple shots down the field. So I do like his over for longest reception, but that's why I'm staying away from his yardage, and that's why I just don't have a lot of confidence in the Eagles pass catchers, or at least specifically A.J. Brown, just because I don't think the passing volume is going to be there this week.
And that answer just answered like 4 of your questions in the chat. If you noticed, about 4 or 5 with that answer. Alex, thank you very much. AB, let me come to you, because you are a first half quarterback, kicker, team total whisperer. How about the Eagles' first half team total? It got the hook, but it's 14.5. Do you like it?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Honestly, I think that it fits everything that Philadelphia wants to do. I understand that over 14.5, you now need 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns and a field goal. So 3 scores are a lot. That being said, Nick Sirianni and this offense, they get to work quick. They absolutely want to punt or put the football in the end zone, and they want to do it over and over and over, because they are so much better of a team when they're playing from a lead as opposed to playing from behind. That's when bad things start to happen with that squad. So, yeah, I love it, man. A lot of teams I would not take over that 14.5. I would look to 13.5, but this team, not afraid at all. Yeah, do it.
And if that hits, then Sia, that's going to feed right into Tony's Phillies first quarter -3. It is -120, but I can't state it enough how good of a first half team Philly has been this year.
It's true. I mean, if you wanted to break it down further, I suppose you could just relegate that to the second quarter where they're really smashing teams. I think, and Mike's not on the show tonight, but I think one thing he would say is, well, first quarter, it kind of depends on who gets the ball first. That shapes the first quarter a little bit. With that said, listen, it's not a play for me, but I'm not going to say anything against that play, Philly -3. They're so superior. The one thing I will say is, on the Texans side, their game plan is likely to really, really feed, obviously, Dameon Pierce. And with Jordan Davis out, the Eagles' run defense perhaps isn't going to be as prolific. Now, is that going to be something that the Texans will be able to sustain over 4 quarters? No, is the answer to the question there. But I do think it's possible that they are able to run the ball a little bit, especially in a neutral game script, which, of course, is what you're going to have at the beginning of the game. So, again, it's not a bet I'm going to make, but if somebody out there wants to make it, I don't have a really hard stance against it.
I'm glad you brought up Pierce also. Alex, chat question, 16.5 rush attempts, -115, juice to the under.
Don't mind it. I do anticipate the Texans, really all they can do is run the ball. The only kind of semblance of an offense that they've had that's been effective this season has been on the ground through Dameon Pierce. This is a very good rookie running back. If we're looking at the path of least resistance when we're attacking this Eagles defense, they've been a bit susceptible to opposing running backs. So I do anticipate the Texans trying to run the football. I really don't have a lot of confidence in Davis Mills without his top 2 wide receivers against an absolutely elite Eagles secondary that's been excellent all season. So I anticipate the Texans trying to establish the run. I don't like the under on his rushing attempts just because I feel like they'll try to run the ball even when they're down just to shorten the game, in my opinion. So to me, it's an over or nothing as far as Dameon Pierce is concerned.
AB, go.
Yeah. Props brings up an excellent point. Like what Philadelphia is going to do when you see this game open, they're going to bait Houston into throwing the football and forcing Davis Mills to do that. Now, look, I don't hate Davis Mills. I think he's actually a pretty good quarterback. He just has 0 weapons around him. I think they're starting 9 rookies tonight. They're going to bait him, right? They're going to stack the box so heavy and let them know you're not running at all. You're going to have to do it in the air. And the minute that they put the ball in the air, the Eagles defense generally makes you pay for it. This could be a nightmare scenario early for Houston.
It really could be, Sia, because one storyline we have not even touched on yet is a big one. And I'm talking about Brandon Cooks. He's not playing tonight, but he's not hurt either. His feelings are hurt that he didn't get traded. But here's the key. I just read this right before the show, that he has a clause in his contract that if he misses action, practice, or games for a non-football related reason, they could void the guaranteed part of his $18 million next season. So his little temper tantrum could cost him a guaranteed $18 million. Now, that's next year. For tonight, though, we look at the number for Davis Mills. Without Brandon Cooks, with all these rookies the guys are talking about, it's at 213.5, juice to the under at -146. Your thoughts?
I don't know how they get there unless this game gets, I don't know how he gets there, unless this game gets out of hand really, really early and he sees just soft coverage for the entire second half. Even in that case, I think it'll be tough, but I really don't know how he gets there with Chris Moore, with Philip Dorsett. Listen, this was a receiver core and Davis Mills who went up against Tennessee, who can absolutely get exposed on the back end through their secondary. And the efficiency was unbelievable. I mean, Dorsett got 5 targets. He only caught 1 of them. The game before, it was the same thing with Dorsett. And Chris Moore, he's kind of just a guy. And you got these guys, the tight ends that we talked about, Brevin Jordan and Jordan Akins and O.J. Howard. O.J. Howard, I suppose, once or twice a season can get loose, but these are underneath guys. These are try to extend the drive guys. And so it would really take a lot of completions for Davis Mills to get there. To be honest with you, if I'm betting a Davis Mills prop, it's the over on his pass completions. It's not going to be his yardage because I think he's going to just be forced to kind of dink and dunk to some of those tight ends we talked about, to Chris Moore underneath, and maybe even to Philip Dorsett underneath, because I don't think Philip Dorsett's going to beat anybody in this game deep.
And right now that number is 21.5 on completions for Davis Mills. Alex, I'm coming to you. Chat question. There's been a couple of quarterbacks this year. Josh Allen's one. Daniel Jones is another. And Jalen Hurts is the third that I think of off the top of my head that they run for a lot of yards. Tonight, the number for Jalen Hurts is 44. Now, I know we think the second half is going to be slowed down, just get out of Dodge. But do you think there will be enough to cash this?
Certainly capable of going over this on one run rushing attempt alone. My issue is I just do not feel like the Texans are going to be able to push the Eagles enough to where Jalen Hurts is going to have to really escape the pocket and look to run a lot. I just don't know how many designed runs there are going to be in this Nick Sirianni game plan for Jalen Hurts. To me, they can just rely on the running backs and be very effective and efficient. It's a short week. This is a game that they should easily win. Obviously, the point spread reflects that as well. So in my opinion, it's just hard to really rely on a lot of these Eagles players, even though these numbers are certainly attractive. I just feel like they're going to get into this game, look for the easiest way to beat this Texans team. That is to run the football down their throat, not put their quarterback at any unnecessary risk. I think they're just going to rely on the 3 running backs that they have and then just try and get, on to the next week, on to the next game. So I just don't have the confidence that he's going to have enough rushing attempts to go over this line, but he's certainly capable of it. And this defense certainly allows a ton of big plays. So it's an over or nothing. But to me, I just don't think his rushing floor where the volume is safe enough.
I hope you guys are really taking this information to heart. By the way, over 1,000 people watching right now, and we're not there yet. Pound that like button. I just need like 30 more. This is the type of game, ladies and gentlemen, that we tell you sometimes the best bets to make are the bets you don't make, because you can't bet with hope. We can't hope that A.J. Brown plays for 4 quarters tonight. We can't hope that he plays for 3 quarters. A.B., go.
Yep, I want to tell you, we were just talking about the Eagles defense and then starting the game, baiting Houston to throwing the football. Let me give you some context here of how good this Eagles defense is. All right, they have the lowest passing rating in the NFL this season at 67.6%. They are first in the NFL in lowest passer rating, completion percentage, yards per attempt, TD INT ratio, and add that on at plus 10 yards or more as well. This Eagles defense, especially the secondary, is the most dangerous secondary in the NFL, because when they play with a lead, they get more dangerous and more dangerous. That's why it's so important for their offense to start fast, because it opens everything else. And Sia brought up the second quarter scoring for the Eagles. Yes, plus 96 point differential. Let me put that into context. The Eagles have scored 126 points in the second quarter of games this season. That's more than the Texans have scored all season. 10 more, actually.
Crazy where you find these Chick-fil-A nuggets. Alex, go.
Yeah, a couple of players or props that I wanted to just touch on really quickly before we get to the top of the hour is I like Boston Scott in this matchup, especially after watching last week what unfolded where the Eagles got up very big against the Steelers. Miles Sanders didn't have a rushing attempt in the fourth quarter. We saw them basically hand the backfield over to Boston Scott, who I believe had 7 or 8 rushing attempts in that fourth quarter once that game was out of reach. I think there's a very likely range of outcomes here when we're looking at how this game plays out, where the Eagles do in fact get up big, and then we see Boston Scott basically take over for the backfield. His rushing yards is 18.5. I like the over there quite a bit. I also like his anytime touchdown for a sprinkle. I believe that's either plus 250 or plus 350. Definitely worth a sprinkle in my opinion.
You're damn right. See ya. Go.
Well, first of all, I love the Boston Scott play. I almost took that, actually. And if you believe that the Eagles are going to blow out the Texans, he's going to cash that in really easily, if you believe that the front part of that. But I did want to just pick up on the Jalen Hurts thing a little bit. He only had 10 rushing yards last week against the Steelers on 2 carries. Alex may have mentioned that, but I think that's really important from a game script standpoint. But also, his rushing prop was 41.5 yesterday. It's now been bet up to 44. So in my opinion, I liked the under when it was 41.5 because of the game script that Alex talked about. But my point here is, if you liked the over, you kind of had to take it yesterday, because you've lost a really good amount of value at 44. At this point, you're late to the party. I don't think it's worth to even consider the over.
And if you want an example of how important 1, 2, or 3 yards truly are, what happened with our guy last week with the Bills there, Alex? We had it, lost it, and then got it back late in the fourth quarter. It matters, right? It matters.
It's huge. Yeah, a couple of yards can be the difference between a win or a loss. These are very thin margins that we're dealing with, especially when we're looking at player props. So a couple of yards can be a huge difference, especially when we're talking over a long sample size as well. So yeah, getting out in front, getting picks early, getting closing line value is very crucial.
No doubt. Closing line value. We talk about it all the time. One last prop I want to hit on, AB. I'm coming to you. And then I also want to get your take on, do you know what the number is right now for Davis Mills to throw an interception tonight?
The last I looked at like 7 o'clock this morning, it was like minus 190. It was
try minus 207. I wonder if you can bet him to throw 2 interceptions somewhere. I bet you can.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, find a book that offers over 1.5.
All right, so there's a fun bet in the chat that they're asking about. Hurts to throw for over 200 yards, A.J. Brown to catch for over 50 yards, and it's plus money somewhere in the ones. I don't have the exact juice on that, AB.
All right, so say that again. Jalen Hurts to throw over 200 yards.
Correct, and A.J. Brown over 50 receiving yards.
Okay, all right, so A.J. Brown's going to get that. Like, he leads this team in everything in terms of big yardage plays in the air. So A.J. Brown, like, no problem with that. The 200 yards is fascinating because you better get that early. Like, the longer that you wait, it could be dangerous. But that being said, Dude, they hit big plays early too, man. Like I honestly, like, it's plus 100. Yeah, like I wouldn't go crazy with it, but it's a fun one to play. Like I don't hate it because he's going to get a ton of them early. Yeah, I don't hate it at all. I love the AJ part of it. Like, he's definitely getting that.
That'll be the easy part. Alex, go.
Yeah, I think AB brought up a fantastic point, especially with when you look at Jalen Hurts' passing yards and how they're essentially allocated throughout the course of the season. If you look at how he gets them, usually he has between 150 and 220 passing yards in the first half. And then you assume that he's just going to have this monster game through the air. But the Eagles have almost always in that scenario accumulated a large lead, and then he only throws the ball maybe 5 to 7 times in the second half and really only finishes with, an additional 20 to 40 passing yards. So, yeah, I would say even though these look like very low numbers for Hurts, we've seen week after week after week him having a big first half, and then they really kind of just focus on running the ball in the second half, and he doesn't really throw the ball very much at all.
All right, see you go.
Just the last thing on Hurts. One thing that I think is important to bring up. This is something we do on the first cut. We have what's called a strokes gained narrative, Coach, as you know. And if you want to just take a ride with me down Narrative Street real quick, Jalen Hurts is from Houston. So knowing that he's from Houston and then it's a nationally televised game, that everybody's watching this singular game, if there were a time where Jalen Hurts would not take his foot off the gas, particularly in the throwing department, it would be now. Now, he's not going to leverage his health by just rushing it for fun when they're up 14, in the late third quarter. But with his arm, I think coming home and knowing that everybody is watching this quarterback that so many people have second-guessed for basically his entire NFL career, and he's proving everybody wrong. While on a national stage at home, he really gets to put a punctuation mark on that and really boldface it, and it just might happen for 4 quarters tonight.
My man, Sia, always putting a nice little button, a nice little bow on a storyline. Don't think that motivation doesn't matter in the National Football League. It absolutely does. It absolutely was. Robert says, great info as always, guys. Thank you very much. I got the best. I've got the best. All right, we're across the top of the hour. They're screaming for it. They're screaming for it. Give me the goose. Give me the goose. That's what they're saying. All the people are saying it. So we got to do the goose. Then we got to do the gym, which I'm going to get in tonight. And then we're going to get the hell out of Dodge. We'll also do our best bets one more time. So if you didn't get them in or you came at the top of the hour like so many of you do at 8 o'clock Eastern time, we want to make sure you get our best bets for this game. So, Alex, sir, I know you're primed and ready. Give us the goose.
We have got a little baby goose tonight, Coach. First up, my favorite pick, my prop is Miles Sanders anytime touchdown. I love building these same game parlays around an anytime touchdown scorer that I happen to like, and he is my favorite one tonight. Then we're going with the Texans to score under 24 points, the Eagles to score over 21 points, Davis Mills to throw for fewer than 270 yards, Miles Sanders to have over 60 rushing yards, and Philip Dorsett to have under 60 receiving yards. Put that all together, plus 350 odds for the Goose, Coach.
Oh, I love the goose. Love it. Love it when we cash that plus 350. We've cashed a lot of those. They're really a fun thing to do, so that keeps you interested throughout the entire game. But, boy, we have cashed a lot. All right, it's time to do the gym. We used to call this the VJM. It is now called the gym out of respect for the producer, the jeweler, who started this show and is now left for greener pastures, I would suppose. Now, how we go about this is Mike usually gets to go first. He's not here tonight. Then those who are in the current club get to go next. Well, I'm staring at 2 faces right now, which really stinks. But the first one to get in this year, and believe me, you already know because he tells you all the time, Prop Stars, you're up.
Yeah, I'm going with Dameon Pierce, my guy, a potential offensive rookie of the year. He's been the entire Texans offense. He's really had a fantastic season. Unfortunately, it's been on a bad Texans team, but he's done everything for them. He's been a really consistent touchdown scorer as well. If they get in the end zone, it's very likely going to be Dameon Pierce. That's why I'm taking him at plus 1,000 odds.
What was that number again?
Plus 100,000 odds, Coach.
All right. Last week, you heard the rumblings. You heard the earth shake. Because whenever this man gets into the club, that little receipt that you pull out of your back pocket when you wake up the next morning and go, how did I spend all? Well, that's who this guy is. AB, you're up.
Yeah, Coach, you're going to hate having to pick up this tab. It is brutal. All right, I'm going to say this, though. If you tonight want to take shots with props and me, you're going to do it through the Eagles D. We're going with the Eagles defense plus 2,000. They're going to get the job done, do it early, get that pick six or a fumble recovery. They're going to put one in because you know why? They're seeing the Eagles offense having fun, doing dances in the end zone. The defense doesn't get to do it, but tonight they do.
All right. I actually like this one. I really, really do. And it's going to drive me bananas if you get in twice as they're dancing in the end zone in front of the camera. Oh, my God. It'll drive me insane. All right. Now, this next man, he got in not once, not twice, 3 times previous to 2022. So he gets to go next. See ya. You're up.
Well, I mean, Alan pretty much guaranteed that I am actually going to hit and I'm going to be in the club. So I really appreciate that. It's going to be Devontae Smith. Listen, A.J. Brown got all the work. He got all the touchdown equity last week. Now it's Devontae Smith's turn. Hurts comes home. He's not going to let the first touchdown go to Miles Sanders. No, he is going to play action to Miles Sanders. He's going to look off the safety by looking over towards A.J. Brown. And guess what? Devontae Smith is going to be wide open for a 55-yard touchdown pass. Give me Devontae Smith at plus 1,000. It's Jalen Hurts, who played at Alabama for a time, to Devontae Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner who played at Alabama. Alan Bell, earmuffs, roll tide. I get in the club. Let's go.
1 second there, hot shot. 1 second there, hot shot. Alex, can you confirm that he's a? Can
He
you
is.
confirm?
He is, Coach.
He's
He
at
is.
plus 1,000.
He is.
Oh my God! Where do you guys find these numbers?
DraftKings, Coach.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Damn it. Damn it. All right. As long as we got receipts. All right. Well, you see who I'm going with. Nobody is going on the Texas side, essentially. So this is all I had left. Kenneth Gainwell, plus 1,500. He at least caught a pass last week. He did. He got one or two. So maybe his one this week will be in the end zone in the first quarter, and then I can just dance all over my living room. That's all I can hope for. That's all I can hope for. Now, we've already seen Snake. Snake, show your face. I don't need to give out your pick anymore, big boy. You tell me why you like Dallas Goedert.
You know what? To go back to Sia's point, I completely agree that, Jalen's back in his hometown. He's going to be gunning it. So, unfortunately, he's very fleet with his hands. He got the pick in within 5 minutes of the email going out. And he took the best one available. So, you know what? Yeah, I could tell. But Goddard's not a bad 1B pick. I don't think so. So I think, they're going to be covering A.J. Brown and really containing Miles Sanders. And, it's going to be Goddard or Devonta Smith.
We're grown men, and we really race to the email to see who can send it. That's how immature we are. But we love it. As a crew, we love it. But you're right. That thing started dinging. Bang, 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 bang. And all I had left was Kenneth Gainwell. Thank you, Snake. All right, real quick, because we only have a few minutes left before the game starts tonight. You get our gem picks, but what about our best bets? Throw those up there for me, Snake. And let's very quickly, 15 or 20 seconds on each one. Alex, start us off, please.
Yep, I like Miles Sanders anytime touchdown prop. I don't typically bet these very often, but I just think there's a great chance that Miles gets into the end zone tonight against a Texans defense that is 32nd in rushing DVOA. They're allowing 160 yards per game on the ground, worst in the NFL by far. They've also surrendered 10 rushing touchdowns as well. The reason I'm choosing his anytime touchdown versus his rushing prop is because I feel like there's a good chance he doesn't play in the fourth quarter if the Eagles are up. That's why I like his anytime touchdown, Miles Sanders.
And his rushing prop around 79.5 if you are so inclined. But listen to my guys, and let's just stay away tonight from a lot of these. All right, see you. What do you like tonight, big boy?
Yeah, I mean, you wonder what's going on in the locker room for Houston with guys like Brandon Cooks just like not showing up. And I think that plays into Eagles just smashing the Houston Texans, covering the 13.5-point spread. On the field, obviously, they outclass the Houston Texans in pretty much every single way. And off the field, I'm not sure Houston is all there considering what's going on. So give me the Eagles minus 13.5, and then give me Devontae Smith over 50.5 receiving yards. I told you why at the front end of the show, but I also told you the first touchdown was going to be Devontae Smith. I specifically said it was going to be 55 yards. So he actually hits it on one catch. Congratulations, everybody who takes this bet.
I wish that you hadn't done that so many times before. Tom Hoagie plus 6,600. Hello. Oh, you're so good at predicting these. It's a sick sixth sense that you have. All right, quickly. Zach attacks on Brevin Jordan over 19.5 receiving yards. The Maestro agrees with Sia. He's on the Eagles when it was at 13. He loves Jalen Hurts to score an anytime touchdown tonight. Then, of course, the Eagles, we've talked about how good they've been in the first half. He likes them in the first half. -7. If they're a 7.5, you can buy it down. We encourage you to do that. -125. AB, bring us home.
Yes, sir. All right. So the Astros just got on the board in 2 at-bats. The Eagles are going to do the same against Houston tonight in their first drive. They're going to score early and often. We're going to take the Eagles first half team total over 14.5. We're also going to play Eagles-Texans total punts over 7.5 in this game. If you don't know where to find that, DraftKings. That's where you can find the punt bets.
By the way, Joe said you called that Altuve run scored. Where'd you call that at?
Yeah, plus 405. We did on Twitter today.
Oh, all right. I like that, starting off the game like that. Very nice. Plus 405. All right. Now, it's that time of the show. You know, I like to ask my cappers, my experts, what's the number one most important thing they are looking forward to tonight? You can use it in this game or use the knowledge in the future. It all matters. It's all a big game, and we do it 24/7, 365. See you. Start us off.
My Super Bowl pick in the preseason was the Buffalo Bills versus the San Francisco 49ers. I expected the Eagles to be very good. I expected them to be better than Dallas, but they're starting to show that they actually might be better than every single team in the NFC and maybe close to the Buffalo Bills when they meet them in the Super Bowl, if that were to happen. So I think this is one of those games you cannot overlook the Houston Texans. You have to keep your foot on the gas, keep your team healthy, maybe get them a break in the fourth quarter and move on, stay undefeated. And I think that's what the Eagles are going to do. They should do.
All right. They are still, and they have been for a few weeks, the last undefeated team in the NFL. Alex, talk to me.
I'm looking forward to seeing my Eagles hopefully fly against this Texans team. I think they're going to have an easy time, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow when my article comes out, Coach, with 4 or 5 of my favorite props and my favorite hour of the week spent with you, Coach, and Cousin Sia and Uncle Dave Richard tomorrow, 4 Eastern at the Friday Prop Extravaganza.
I told you it might help you in the future, like tomorrow afternoon. AB, talk to me.
Yes, sir. All right, so the Eagles have played 7 games this season. You want to know how long they've trailed in the second half of any of these games throughout the whole year? Yeah, that's right. 0 seconds. They haven't trailed for a second in the second half of a game this season. I'm fascinated to see if they make it 8. Also, Jalen Hurts, he has won 10 straight regular season starts. That's the longest in Eagles history.
All right. Well, I do want to say thank you because on a night when the game doesn't look that good and there's a World Series game being played, you guys still gave us a great big audience tonight. And for that, we are forever grateful. We are forever grateful. You got so many different places you can go, and you choose to come here, and that means the world to all of us. So with that being said, there's only one thing left to do, and I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these Thursday night football tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, damn it, do I love them all. Prop stars, C in the job, AB, the snake on the 1s and the 2s. I am the coach. Turn on your notifications. Tomorrow we've got not 1, not 2. We've got 3 shows tomorrow. Don't miss a second. Right here at the Early Edge. Good luck.